The Hollet is full of the young and the old, the tall, the small, the meek and the bold. Do meet and agree in peace, love and unity, to enjoy an evening of friendship. This is our opportunity. Madam President, ladies and gentlemen, it goes without saying it's a great privilege and a pleasure for me to join with you, and to see the room so well filled is a credit, a testimony to the reputation of Alloway Burns Club. Busy time of year for me, obviously. Burn supper season is the busiest, but during the summer, because there's so many wreath layings throughout the country, and I try to continue to go round about, and as much as I can, it's the people that you meet on life's travels. That's what I enjoy so much about the Burns story. Tonight I'll touch on a couple of friends, some you will know well, some that you perhaps won't know their name, but you would have enjoyed their company, sadly no longer with us. And then I'll put before you something that hopefully will inspire you. It'll be pleasant on the ear, and it won't go for 1 minute beyond the 45 minutes that I've been allotted. You've got 10 seconds to make a first impression. If you've got your audience in 10 seconds, body language experts will tell you have their attention for 30 seconds. If you've still got them at 30 seconds, up to minute number 7, then you're in borrowed time. So it's up to the speaker, it's up to the orator. If it comes from the heart, surely it will go to the heart. I always plan ahead. That's part of my makeup. I always put 100% into everything that I do. So when I was thinking about today, I'm going to another function over in the Birthplace Museum as soon as I finish here, so that's how I'll suit it and boot it, as my granny would say. My granny used to say to me, Angus, don't you get too big for your boots. That's what she used to say. It was really my grandpa that got me into Burns, and he was one of life's honest men. He was a ploughman in a farm in West Kilbride called Curlung Farm, and it was there that he was to meet a young 15-year-old man with the name of Charlie Weir. Charlie went to work at that farm, so I always remember the first time I met Charlie. He came up to me and he says, "Are you any relation to Duncan Middleton?" I says, "That's my grandpa." His face lit up, and I got all the tales about him. Great bloke, there he is, one of life's gentlemen. If there was more Charlie Weirs in the world, we'd be doing better, that's for sure. But my grandpa used to only have 2 holidays a year, Easter Monday and Boxing Day. And I was the first-born grandchild in the family, so that caused great excitement. And Grandpa Middleton, when I got to 4, he announced to my gran that he wanted to take me away for the day, a run in the bus. So we went to the cross in West Kilbride where I was brought up, and I said to my grandpa, "Where are we going?" And he says, "Whatever bus comes first." We'll just go on it. If the bus is going to Largs, we'll go to Largs. If the bus is going to Paisley, we'll go to Paisley. If the bus is going to Saltcoats, we'll go to Ayr. No. And Joe Kennedy. Some people will remember Joe Kennedy, one of the driest sense of humours, pocky sense of humour, but a real Burnsian. A man that never changed no matter what company he was in, and he was always found very acceptable. Now Joe worked with British Rail. He worked in the signal box at Hurlford, and I don't expect you to know what the signal box at Hurlford is like, but it'd be your traditional signal box. But because of the undulations in the Irvine Valley, it was perched very high, and there was 32 wooden steps to get up into the signal box. And we were at a function, this is a true story, and the lady came up to me, "Mr. Middleton, what do you do?" And I says, "Oh, I'm in the building preservation industry." And that's a conversation killer at the best of times. Right? And what about you, Mr. Kennedy? So bearing in mind the signal box, he says, "I'm high up in the railway." I was doing my own thing. I was gifted with a good memory, and doing my own thing in the primary school. I won for singing and also in recitation. And by that association, all my pals always said, Angus, my nickname's Pagey, right? So they all call me Pagey. It's Middleton, Middle Page. It's not that exciting, but it's Pagey. Pagey's right into Burns. And I don't actually know if I was right into Burns, but because of that, as we then went to Drogheda Academy, and of course the Burns competition fizzled out, but I still retained this sort of love for Burns. And my friend, his grandpa had died and left him an Edinburgh edition in his will, right? Now, as young boys growing up in West Kilbride, we thought this book was worth about £250,000, right? But you could get one today for the high hundreds or maybe £1,000. You wouldn't get a Kilmarnock edition for £50,000, but it was still a valuable book. And he said to me, do you fancy learning Tam O'Shanter? Now, if there's anyone out there going to learn a poem, start a wee bit further down the pit. Very ambitious to learn Tam O'Shanter, but when you're young, your memory is so much better. And we did. So we proceeded to learn this Tam O'Shanter. And loved it, and that was our wee party piece. And I was asked to do the Immortal Memory and address to haggis. Now, I never done that in my life. So at this very first Burns supper, I addressed the haggis, and at the end of the night, the lady came up from the Women's Guild and said, would you do that at the Guild Burns supper? And I did, and I loved it. Now, little did I know that first ever official Burns supper was to end up taking me to 6 different countries. No plan, just happened. See, if you were trying to plan it, it wouldn't really happen. And I just absolutely loved every minute of it, and I still do. But I was only doing my own thing, wasn't a member of a Burns club, and there's lots of Burnsians out there that are not members of Burns clubs. Just the opportunity hasn't come up, or they haven't been approached, or maybe clubs are not there sort of seen. And often it's a big step to, I don't know if I'll get in there, I don't know. And so I was just doing one thing, and I met Jimmy Gibson, another good friend, a man steeped in Burns, a proud son of Kilmarnock, although he's now living in Prestwick. And Jimmy said to me that he heard that West Kilbride Burns Club was struggling, and their age profile had reached the point where they were all the same age, all friends about the same age. Anyway, so I got involved. And the next thing, the world of Burns was to open out to me. And at the Ayrshire Association of Burns Clubs, I ventured along to the Tri-Stingthorn, and it was a man by the name of Willie Morrison, who was a giant of a Burnsian, and he recited my favourite Burns poem. It's not the best Burns poem ever, but it's The Soldier's Return, and I just love it. We've all got our own wee favourite song or favourite poem. And I'm going to recite it to you, but I'm going to do it in a wee different way. That it's a very understandable poem. There's a bit of Scots in it, but you can understand it. It's got a good bit of social history. Now, I like a preamble. My preamble to the poem ends up longer than the actual poem. But the last verse of it is, for gold the merchant ploughs the main, the farmer ploughs the manor, but glory is the soldier's prize, the soldier's wealth is honour. The brave fair soldier ne'er despise, nor count him as a stranger. Remember, he's our country's stay in day and hour of danger. So that's the last verse of it. This night I was speaking at Douglas Park Bowling Club on Supper and Largs, a very refined wee club, gentle kind of people. And I had been doing Burns suppers all over the joint, and I said, I'm going to sing The Soldier's Return tonight just for a change, because it is a song, but it works very well as a poem. So I simply sing that tonight, just to do something different. And I've given the preamble about the soldier and whatnot, and coming back from the war. And I'm not the best singer in the world, but I'm not the worst. I was doing quite well. I was singing away. So it's, when wild war's deadly blast was blowing, this lady down the front, the tears started on. And I use the old lighthouse technique. I don't know if you've noticed that. Give me a and gentle peace return. I kept getting back, but this time just. This is, oh my goodness. Now, I've got the presence of mind. I said, her father has been a soldier. And he's fallen at the front, and I've hit a raw nerve here. So I said, the first interval, I said, I'm going to go across and I'm just going to have a wee quiet word. You see, I couldn't help but notice that you get very emotional when I was singing The Soldier's Return. I take it your father was a soldier. She said, no son, he was a music teacher. Now, I like a laugh, because laughter's the best medicine. The bit about the lady crying was actually true. It was true. And I went into at the interval, and I said to her, I couldn't help but notice that you get emotional when I'd given you the social history of the soldier's return. And she said, my son's going to Afghan in the morning. I'll tell you my heart. And I said, remember the last verse? I says, the soldier returns. And he did. And I was speaking at an event about a month ago, and that woman was in the hall. First time since, and quite a feeling. And I thought, that was a real life Burns, you know. And that's what Burns works are all about, is real life. So, another man, a friend, he was to become a friend, Bert McGregor, a man of Lochlan, a character, an awful man, but he knows his Burns. And I was doing a survey in his house for Rising Dam, and all this Burns stuff about me, right? But he wasn't there, it was his wife. I said, your man must be a bit of a Burns fanatic. I says, when I see all this, he loves his Burns. So I thought, the first chance I get. So anyway, we got on the chat, and he says, if you want to know about Burns, get out into Burns country. He says, get round about all the places. And he said, then you'll know your Burns. You'll understand your Burns. So, alright, okay. I thought it was just about picking up a book and getting to know Burns. So, I had the good fortune to be able to take him, and I mean all over Scotland. If there's a Burns site out there, I was there with Bert McGregor. And he went up at Lochlan, this is the Moosey Field, son, and this is the Mountain Daisy Field. It was phenomenal. It was just timing. You know how in life there can just be a time. And what I was to learn from that man, and he brought the whole Burns story alive for me. He said to me, don't study Burns, study a contemporary of Burns, and then you'll get to know him. He says, so pick one of the heroes or heroines in the work and look for their passage through the Burns story. And I did do that. And assist me, Coiler, while I sing the virtues of a crony, that in the blessings friendships bring, has ne'er been matched by money. And was this man sick land to gain? There can be no mistaken, as if there could be more than yen, step for it, Robert Aiken. So it's Aiken without the T, and he was a lawyer in the prosperous town of Ayr. Remember that? The prosperous county town of Ayr. Burns said he never truly valued his own work until he heard orator Bob Aiken recite it aloud. He had the gift of the gab. It said he was the Jobel Trammy or the Donald Finlay of his day. Right? Now, Madam President, Maureen said earlier, the friends of Robert Burns, 9 at the First Supper. Robert Aiken was one who attended that First Supper. So I just stumbled on this man. Burns thought enough of him to dedicate the Cottage Saturday night to him, to the memory of Robert Aiken. And his son, the poem Epistle to a Young Friend, is dedicated to Andrew Hunter Aiken, who was Robert Aiken's son. He got 145 subscriptions, the surety. He was standing good for the price of the paper. That was how good a friend he was to Robert Burns. And we do owe so much to him. Now, I'm very proud to say that I'm a joiner by trade, and I'm a joiner by nature, right? But when I join a club, I get right into it. And I'm currently the president of the Robert Aiken Appreciation Society. Indeed, I'm the only member. Hey, And I was speaking at a function one night, and this chap, this is true, he come up to me at the end and he says, "See that Appreciation Society?" And I says, He says, "I'd like to join." I says, "You need to get a seconder." So, Robert Aiken, that poem that I recited, that first verse, Robert Burns' father, William Burness, of course he wasn't to be known as Burns until he was in his 20s, and I had the good fortune of going up to the Fatherland Club, which is Stonehaven. That's because that's the neck of the woods where the Burness family hailed, and they're very proud of that Burns collection and connection. But he fretted for the future of his firstborn. And that's natural. You want your family to do well, children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, you hope that they go on well in life. But if your grandson or granddaughter came in and said that they wanted to be a poet, you say that's a hobby, isn't it? Well, it turned out to be some hobby for Robert Burns. One of the best bits of advice I was ever given, a man took me under his wing. He says, "Angus, when it comes to after dinner speaking, or speaking at any function, stand up to be seen, speak out to be heard, but don't forget to sit down." To be appreciated, and there's something in that. Less is more. So I'm going to leave you with The Soldier's Return. A wee bit of social history that I think is worth touching on. If my purpose of being here tonight has been of any good at all, take down your Burns book again. That expensive book that sits on the shelf. Give it a good thumbing through and use it. And even for your own satisfaction, learn the words of a poem or a song, just to have it up your sleeve for one of those days, or just to keep the old grey matter ticking over. So the Trysting Thorn, I see Margaret and John Skilling, stalwarts of the Burns movement, and they've been out there hoeing and weeding and things over the years at various monuments, but we went along that night to the Trysting Thorn. It sits out there at Lake Coylton, as I say, being a North Ayrshire boy, Lake Coylton, so just past the Coylton Arms Hotel, and you go out and then you slip off to the left, and you'd think you're going down a wee narrow road. There's a farm down there called Milmanach. I said that and he goes, "It's Milmanach, son." I'll say it's Milmanach. And this is where the figment of Burns' imagination, this is where Nancy stayed with her mum and dad in this farm, and that farm's still there. And there's this Trysting Thorn, which is a hawthorn bush, and it's got a green railing round about it. And when I won the Tam O'Shanter competition, I got a prize money for that, and that prize money went to buy the plaque to put on there, because we're only custodians of these things. It's up to us to keep these things kind of going. So there's a plaque there that says, "This is the Trysting Thorn, made famous in Burns' poem, The Soldier's Return, erected by the Ayrshire Association of Burns Clubs, of which Alloway Burns Clubs are a very active member, and historically and into the future I'm sure very much will be." So that night we gathered, and it was a night like that. It was a pleasant enough night, and Willie Morrison recited the Soldier's Return. I had never heard that poem in the puff. And know that way when you're hearing a singer or something with the hairs in the back of your neck go up. I got in my car that night and I thought, wow, this is just a different level. So that's what we've got to do. Likes of myself and fellow speakers like me, we've got to make it as good as we can. We've got to generate this enthusiasm so that future generations will continue to do it. Not just for the sake of it, because it's worth it, that is for sure. So it's a bit like tie a yellow ribbon round the old oak tree. The girl, after church on a Sunday, meets her sweetheart at the Trysting Thorn. He's going off to war, and that's what's happening here in Burns' mind. She clips a bit of her underskirt. She hangs it onto the hawthorn bush. If he is lucky enough to come back from the war, he will go to the Trysting Thorn. If that piece of material is still there, he will then know she is still true-hearted. If, however, she had met someone else while he was away, she would remove that bit of material, and he would then know not to trouble her. I think that's quite a nice way to do it. I don't know how successful that would be nowadays, gentlemen. This is it, the Trysting Thorn, and it's out there in the country, in the fresh air. when while war's deadly blast was blown, gentle peace returning, with many a sweet babe fatherless, many a widow mourning, I left the lines in tented field, where lang had been a lodger, a humble knapsack, all my wealth, a poor but honest soldier. A leal light heart was in my breast, my hand unstained with plunder, and for fair Scotia hame again, I cheery on did wander. I thought upon the banks of Coyle, I thought upon my Nancy, and I a mind the witch and smile that caught my youth for fancy. At length I reached the bonny glen, where early life I sported. I passed the mill and Trystingthorn, where Nancy after I courted. Was by I, but my ain dear maid, doon by her mother's dwelling, and turned me room to hide the flood that in my een was swelling. With altered voice, quoth I, sweet lass, sweet as yon hawthorn's blossom. Oh, happy, happy may he be that's dearest to thy bosom. My purse is licht, I've far to gang, and fain would be thy lodger. I've served my king and country line, tak pity on a soldier. Sae wistfully she gazed at me, and lovelier was than ever. Quoth she, a soldier, yince allowed, forget him, shall I never? Our humble cot and hamely fare, you freely shall partake it. That gallant badge to Birkacad, you're welcome for the sake it. She gazed, she reddened like a rose, signed pale, Laonia lily. She sank within my arms and cried, Allow my ain dear Willie, by him who made those sun and sky, by him true love's regarded, I am the man, and thus may still true lovers be rewarded. The war's are o'er, and I've come hame, and I find thee still true-hearted, though poor in gear, were rich in love, and mair we's ne'er be parted. Quoth she, my grandfather, he's left me gold, and a firm, it's plenished fairly. So come, my faithless soldier lad, thou'rt welcome to it dearly. For gold, the merchant ploughs the main, the farmer, he ploughs the manor. But glory is the soldier's prize, the soldier's wealth, its honour. The brave poor soldier, ne'er despised, nor count him as a stranger. Remember, he's our country's stay, in day and hour of danger. Robert Burns. Yes, I've got so much more, perhaps I will return some other day. Well, thank you for a very kind hearing. I'll hand you back to Madam President. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.